for the Get to the Point review.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Get to the Point review podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Kelly McKinney of Hohenheim Productions.
And I am Josh Gibson of Fourth Wall Players.
And this time, we are talking about the New Mutants, which came out in August. And that, honestly, I didn't even realize had come out in August.
I think they released it straight to streaming.
Right, which is why I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Part of why I didn't realize it. Also, for whatever reason, other than when the trailer first came out, I didn't see it heavily marketed.
Right.
Well,
there's a reason.
There's a reason. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and, since New Mutants is our first topic, being a generally new movie for 2020, we give our Get to the Point review on the new movie. So Josh, go ahead and let's hear yours first.
All right. So, this is still fresh on my mind. I just got done watching the movie, sadly. So this is my review. All right, just some bullet points here. Accents do not an interesting character make. Failed blending of non-scary horror with non-exciting action. The director, I guess, wanted to prove that crappy movies with big names still make money.
Right. And I have confused accent play in a teen horror version of Glass with the trademark Marvel CGI battle at the end. Genuinely fun movie with a cheesy ending. And I must have just been so convinced. I was so ready to like it. And I don't anymore. It was just, I felt like it's an hour and a half I'll never get back. And it's so sad that I spent that time with
3
Maisie.
Hours for you now.
Yeah, now it's 3 hours. I
again.
watched it twice. I'll never get those back, even though they were spent partially with Maisie Williams. I still never get those back. Mm-hmm. And as part of the sort of segment here, we also do a Get to the Point review over a review. And this time we chose New York Times Amy Nicholson. Mm-hmm. And Josh, what did you have to say?
I read the review and I enjoyed the review by Amy. Thank you. My review of it is she was on point with the digs at the confusing clash of teenage angst and philosophy lectures. And that's it.
Yeah, and mine's, I did enjoy reading this review because as so many reviews or critics want to take just as many digs at the movie as they can to sound, controversial or whatever. Yeah. But this was a pretty dead-on review. She went through the movie. So what I have here is pithy one-liners lay out the groundwork for an excellent episode of Screen Rant's Pitch Meetings with Ryan George.
Right.
Because
I will say that I learned something in her review that the character who catches on fire, I don't even remember his name. It's how forgettable this movie is. That he was Brazilian.
Yeah, Which to me is like, you went above and beyond to do the research to figure out that he was Brazilian, because I completely missed that in the movie, and I've seen it twice.
Yeah, I did not get that at all.
No.
Especially since they put such a big emphasis on a lot of the other child actors using accents to show you like where they're from, because they wanted to be like, oh, well, they're not all American. And even the American one has like a very, very pronounced Kentucky twang.
Yeah.
So it was just weird that they slipped the Brazilian in there, and it was just like a guy speaking, like sounding like he was like from LA,
Yeah, it's very like for me it was a confusing attempt of being diverse with the character selection.
Yeah,
that failed horribly.
Right.
Just because not only were some of the characters, I mean, don't get me wrong, the acting was good, the accents were off, the character development, you can't blame an actors for an awful script.
No, what those were, none of that was the actor's fault. Watching what I watched, it was just poorly edited together. You could tell it went through a lot of rewrites.
You could tell they'd been working on it for 3 years.
Yeah. And,
for sure.
Yeah, it just...
So I wanted so bad to like it. I really did. And so also now sort of the meat of the episode here is going to be us doing our Get to the Point review on season 1 of The Walking Dead. And in sort of commemoration of The Walking Dead ending at season 11. Yeah, with 11 seasons. We're going to kind of go through each season one at a time and give our individual get-to-the-point review on the episodes as we work through each season. So for season 1, it starts with episode Days Gone By.
Oh, you know the episode names.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay. All right, so for this one, I wrote, this opening episode really pulls the viewer into the story. You find yourself constantly on edge as you discover the world alongside Rick. Sound and makeup were on point, like, the whole time. I was just impressed.
And for me, for Days Gone By, it's... So, I have to say first, before I get into my get-to-the-point reviews, I am a huge fan of the show.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I tried to view this as someone who's not a fan of the show and as objectively as possible.
Right, that's what I was trying to do that too.
So, seeing it for the first time, what I said was, setting the precedent that we shoot kids on this show, we're ushered into a world that says, "Welcome to Detroit." And so, moving right on, episode 2, Guts.
Me again?
Yeah.
I thought we switched back and forth. Okay. So for this one, big drop off in the acting and the tension of the story. They still utilized a little bit of creativity when they were escaping the walkers in Atlanta. I just want Morgan back.
Oh, yeah. I just want Morgan back. Oh, yeah, no doubt. For me, I have super zombies loot a department store, Andrea annoys, and The Walking Dead gets racist. Yeah, it has guts.
Yeah.
And now, it's interesting. The Walking Dead gets racist. I can't remember.
Merle.
Merle. Gosh, I was like, wait, what part was it racist? Oh, yeah, The Walking Dead gets
Rooker.
racist. Yeah. What? I love him as an actor.
Oh, yeah.
He made me love the Daryl character. The Merle character, even though he's hated. Like,
yeah.
I mean, naturally, you're supposed to love him later because he has his redemption arc.
Right, yeah. He does, like, redeem himself. And I feel like there is a fine line between characters that you don't like because they're just played rather poorly or they're like boring. I feel like Andrea is more of a writing thing, but that's not the point.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, you're right. She is really one of those. She just does annoying things. That's why you don't like her.
Right.
And then there's characters who are supposed to be disliked, like Merle or the Governor, or even Shane a lot in season 2. I feel like those actors really hit those on the head.
Right.
So,
episode 3 was Tell It to the Frogs.
Yeah. All right. So for this one, I said slower episode, but was needed to establish the character relationships. Feels like a competition between the men who can be the biggest asshole. However, we finally get to see Daryl.
Okay, and for number 3, I said, this is supposed to be a zombie show with, like, cars. What a cars. He finds his family. That's basically me crying. I've seen season 1 probably 10 times, okay? And every single time I hit to this episode, I cry like a little girl.
When Rick gets to his family?
When Rick gets to his family.
Huh.
It's that, like, the shock on their... It's just... As awful of an actor as Chandler Riggs is in this series, I'm sorry, Chandler. I mean, you left for a reason, you know. You know what the critics say. That was spot on. Like, that moment right there. Rick's surprise. I mean, we already know that Andrew Lincoln is amazing.
Carl's another example of the poor writing and or acting that made his character disliked, because I feel like it's because he was a kid. The writers felt like they could get away with having him have giant personality changes, which he does, and it changes from episode to episode, and it's really off-putting, and I never really did get into Carl overall. Carl.
So episode 4 is Vatos.
Okay. Put it on the board. First significant death. Rip Amy. Enjoyed seeing the nursing home group. Is Jim psychic?
It is very interesting. I feel like the episode's all over the place.
Yeah.
For me, I put, that's racist. Ding. And then for the episode, because it's so all over the place, I wrote a poem. Pretty girls fish, as many as you wish. Time to dig holes, we like to set goals. Searching after Merle is enough to make you hurl. Vato's got the glen, Abuela is the big hen. Walkers attack the camp, the heat will make you damp. And that's it. That's what I had
It is
to
interesting
say.
you and I both pointed out the whole Jim digging holes thing, though, because that was like one of those things that, again, I was looking at this as if I was watching these for the first time. Mm-hmm. And as a first-time viewer, you would see something like that and be like, oh, okay. So he's like predicting, 'cause especially at the end, it's like,
Right.
oh, he's predicting they're going to get attacked.
Right, because he says, I remember why I
Yeah.
dug those holes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, okay, so this is going to be a story.
Right.
Anyway.
Episode 5 is Wildfire.
Okay. The first half does a great job analyzing how certain deaths affect the group. The second half jumps the shark with Rick's John Lockean faith in the CDC being the answer.
Yeah, and for me, I had, meh, it's a vessel.
Yeah.
That's what I had about this episode.
Right.
And that's primary, I guess, for me, even looking at the series objectively comes from the standpoint of I've seen this done in zombie films so many times.
Right.
Debating on who kills who and whether or not we kill people who are infected and how to deal with death after the civilization is gone. I've just seen it so many times. It was kind of a relief to pick up the story in that heightened tension at the end with the CDC. So that's why I say, meh, it's a vessel for
Right.
the final episode of the season. Episode 6 is TS-19. And Josh?
I wrote a lot of nothing here, but Shane being rapey. Then the writers literally blow up the plot. Bye-bye, Atlanta.
And I put a brilliant end to a wonderful first season, making us feel a full range of emotions. Also, no means no, Shane. So we both commented on rape. So okay, so then you didn't like episode 6 so much. Is this kind of unfeeling for you?
I guess I liked it, but looking at it from, like, I look at things... Me personally, I'm a very character-driven sort of person, so I do like episodes. Like, for instance, I really like the episode in Season 3 where Rick and the governor are kind of just, like, sitting in that...
Basically the discussion.
Yeah, the little discussion they have at the table, because I like... I like that sort of... I like watching and analyzing that sort of acting. But looking at it from the standpoint of, like, what actually happens in this episode, not a lot. It was just a lot of people talking, ironically. So, like, from that perspective, again, obviously, other than Shane being rapey and then blowing up the thing at the end,
right?
That was all really well done. And I thought it was a great ending to, at the time, when they originally made it, I had assumed it was just supposed to be a miniseries. So I thought that was a great ending to that miniseries.
Right. To basically kind of say, it's hopeless, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So
like, but you need to go on and try for as long as you can.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like that that theme.
Mm-hmm.
So me personally, no, I did not dislike. I don't think I disliked any episode in the first season. Honestly.
Yeah. No, I didn't dislike it, but it sounded like your get to the point review was less like it's okay, and then they blow it up and it's cool. And see, for me, it bothered me that there was the manufactured tension of whether or not to let the survivors that he gets in go out. What does it matter to you?
Yeah, that bothered me a lot more this time watching than it did my original time through.
He could literally have the doors open
walkers
could storm inside and it would still explode the same way it did.
I also didn't like how Dale moved hell and high water to convince Andrea not to stay back, but no one gave a shit that Jackie was staying. They were just like...
T-Dog's the only one who tries to talk her out of it.
And it's only, like, really quick. It's like, okay, whatever.
Well, because honestly, there's not time, right?
Right,
for them to discuss it.
Yeah.
Well, which, ironically, there's not time, but there's time for Dale to stay. Yeah. Everyone else has to run out.
Yeah.
But they can still get out just in time. It's kind of like plot armor. But at the same time, I guess I've known people like Dale in real life so much that it was like I knew Dale was going to do that.
Right. I
knew Dale was going to do that. And it was an excellent bluff.
Dale's one of my favorite characters in that first season and a half. It's not really until he gets way up Shane's ass there towards the end that I'm like, okay, Dale, like, let's pull it back a little bit.
See, well, and see, I liked the friction between Shane and Dale because
I did for the most part.
because we already knew that there was only one way for that to go down. Dale,
Right.
for if Shane kills Dale, Shane has to pass it off that it was an accident,
Right.
or hide that it ever happened, right?
Right.
One of the two, and of course that just builds audience tension where we're like, I hate Shane, or you've got America's assholes that would be like, yeah, Shane, fuck that guy.
Yeah, and Shane. Like, let's be honest. Like, Shane is an asshole, and he's supposed to be, and I recognize that, and I recognize he's antagonistic, or at the very least aggressive towards the rest of the group. I do feel like a lot of the end of season 2 would not have happened had not everybody in the group, both groups, teamed up on and continuously poked at Shane. You know what I'm saying? It's like poking the bear. This dude obviously has very little control over his emotions and is prone to angry outbursts, yet everybody wanted to take jabs at him, like,
Right.
the entire season.
Yeah, everyone wanted to test that.
Yeah,
wanted to get testy with him.
And so, yeah, no, I'm not surprised that this dude went off the deep end. Like I said, that's part of what makes sense, though, with his character, and it, like, goes back to my point earlier about the difference between just, like, a poorly written character and an actor that does such a good job that even though you hate the character, you enjoy the performance.
Right, which Shane Bernthal does. I mean, which John Bernthal
just
does beautifully.
Shane Bernthal is his
Shane,
name.
It's fuck it. Shane Bernthal.
Shane Punisher.
Shane the
is
Punisher.
his name.
Bernthal is very obviously. All right, and so that is season 1. The next part of our podcast is our point of the review. Get to the point review on celebrity tweets, and we figure that for season 1, Andrew Lincoln is probably a good start, right?
Yeah.
And so let's take a look.
Carl.
At that. We also have a shout out to 2 other basically Twitter profiles that we'll need to give for sure.
Is Andrew Lincoln even on Twitter?
And it looks like Andrew Lincoln may not be on here, but we've got Andrew Lincoln News.
Why is he wearing a big hat like that?
The pinned tweet here. Exclusive first look at Andrew Lincoln as Cameron Bloom in Penguin Bloom movie in Australian cinemas. Okay, interesting. I have no idea what that is.
Who the hell is Penguin Bloom?
That's your get to the point review.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. My get to the point review on this is Andrew Lincoln becomes a penguin? Question mark?
Yeah.
But also, when we first shared episode 1 of the podcast, we had 2 likes on it. One was from an I'm not Chris Hemsworth, which we found out is at Inch Movie on Twitter. I'm not Chris Hemsworth is basically a crowdfunding campaign for a movie about a overweight gay man who wakes up in a alternate reality where everyone mistakes him for Chris Hemsworth. And the most hilarious thing about this to me was that the guy that is doing it actually looks like Chris Hemsworth. But I mean, of course, naturally, I mean, just in the face. Face. But it's like if you deep faked Chris Hemsworth, you wouldn't tell the difference.
Right.
You wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. So huge shout out to I'm Not Chris Hemsworth. Looks like a great movie. We're going to be making sure to keep regular updates on that. That was really awesome. And we also had The Language of Bromance is a 2014 improv stories from history and news by 2 guys who obviously are in a bromance with one another, which I thought was really cool and reminded me very much of how this podcast basically came about.
Yeah.
We've had a bromance since like 7th grade that's been, budding and blossoming into a lot of things, and it's what came out into this.
Will they, won't they
podcast.
sort of thing.
Yeah, will they, won't they? That's right.
We're like the Ross and Rachel of romances.
Ross and Rachel of bromances. That's right, buddy. Yeah, and so Language of Bromance, when I listened to a couple other episodes, very good podcast, very funny, and it reminds me very much of the sort of comedy and atmosphere that we ourselves are trying to put.
Looks like they have new episodes every Sunday, so make sure to check them out.
That's right. And so in closing on today's podcast, we'd like to remind you to go and check out our Patreon for all the behind-the-scenes updates on everything we do here at Hohenheim Productions, as well as the Gamer Minute Scholar stream team. And to go check out The Here and Now on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
And is there anything else you want to add, Josh?
No.
No. Okay.
There's nothing else, right?
I don't
think there's anything else. I think we're good.
All right. And as always, we'll be releasing this every 2 weeks. Be checking for it on Thursdays. And at this moment, you can find us on Stitcher, TuneIn and Alexa, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Pocket Casts, Dreezer.
I don't know that one.
Shut up, Alexa.
Wow.
Deezer, Listen Notes, Player FM, Podcast Index.
Which one did she not know? I don't get it.
As soon as I said Podcast Addict after Alexa.
Oh, we tuned in Alexa. Yeah, podcast. She doesn't know Podcast Addict, so chances are you won't see us there.
Addict. Yeah. So since she doesn't know it, that's hilarious.
Get to the point.